What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Sunday, July 11th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have an 11 game slate today, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. Now if you want to pay up for pitcher, Brandon Woodruff is in a good spot here. The other pitcher I like is Chris Bassitt. But the other guy that I like, maybe my favorite pitcher on the slate, take a look at Pablo Lopez with a small pitching advantage here over the Atlanta Braves. Pablo Lopez, he's only giving up a .619 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 7 righties here tonight. On top of that, the reason that I like this pick is because the Braves have only hit 23 of his last 101 pitches. That's a .228 batting average. Now, he's $9,300 FanDuel salary, but he's $2,000 less on DraftKings. So I love that DraftKings price. He's projected at 23.4 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 2.94. Record is 4-5 on the season, pitching an average of 81 pitches per game. He's scoring an average of 29 fantasy points per game. He scored 33, -3, and 49 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Now, I also like this pick because Vegas thinks it's going to be a low-scoring game. Only 7 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Pablo Lopez here versus the Atlanta Braves. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Paul Goldschmidt with a 7% batting advantage over Trevor Williams. Paul Goldschmidt is batting a .828 OPS versus righties, and Trevor Williams, he throws his worst ball versus righty batters. 9% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .963 OPS versus righties. Now, I like this pick because Paul Goldschmidt is 7 for 18, batting a .389 batting average and a 1.032 OPS versus Williams. He's $3,700 FanDuel salary. He's $1,000 more on DraftKings. Projected at 11 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. And he's been on fire, scoring 31, 16, and 13 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Paul Goldschmidt here versus Trevor Williams. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Jed Lowry with a 26% batting advantage over Colby Allard. Jed Lowry is batting a .733 OPS versus lefties, and Colby Allard, he throws his worst ball by far to switch hitters. 31% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .964 OPS versus switch hitters. Jed Lowry is 2 for 5, batting .400 with a 1.4 OPS versus Allard. He's $3,100 FanDuel salary. He's $900 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.2 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 34, 10, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jed Lowry here versus Colby Allard. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I'm going to give you a value play here. I like Jeff McNeil with a 35% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Chase DeJong. Jeff McNeil, he bats a little bit better versus righty pitchers, 5% better. He's batting a .772 OPS versus righties, And Chase DeJong, he throws his worst ball by far to lefty batters, 30% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.171 OPS versus lefties. Now, there's no at-bats versus DeJong yet, but I like this pick because Jeff McNeil is only $2,600 FanDuel salary. Now, he is $2,100 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 12.8 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 7 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 6, and 13 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Jeff McNeil here versus Chase DeJong.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Gene Shigura batting against Nick Pivetta. Gene Shigura is batting a .784 OPS versus righties, and Nick Pivetta, although he does throw his best ball versus righty batters, he's still giving up a .777 OPS versus righties. Now, there's no at-bats versus Pivetta yet, and Gene Shigura is only $3,100 FanDuel salary, and he's only $300 more on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites, projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 35, 12, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And I like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game. 10 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Gene Shigura here versus Nick Pivetta. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. I got a few outfielder picks for you. I like Franmil Reyes with an 18% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Carlos Hernandez. Franmil Reyes is batting 26% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .929 OPS versus righties. And Carlos Hernandez, he's giving up a .802 OPS versus righties. Franmil Reyes is 2 for 2 with a 2.5 OPS versus Hernandez. He's $3,500 FanDuel salary and $600 more on DraftKings. Projected at 13.7 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 6, 6, and 32 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Franmil Reyes here versus Carlos Hernandez. I also like Robbie Grossman with a 35% batting advantage over Jose Barrios. Robbie Grossman, he's batting 13% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .784 OPS versus righties. And Jose Barrios, he throws his worst ball versus switch hitters, 23% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .842 OPS versus switch hitters. Now, I like this pick because Robbie Grossman is 5 for 7, batting a .714 batting average and a 2.036 OPS versus Barrios. He's $3,200 FanDuel salary, and he's $300 less on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites, but especially on DraftKings. He's projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 9, 25, and 19 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Robbie Grossman here versus Jose Barrios. Okay, now I got a value play for you. I like Trevor Larnach with an 85% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Willie Peralta. Trevor Larnach, he's batting 29% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .845 OPS versus righties. And Willie Peralta, he throws his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a .956 OPS versus lefties. Now there's no at-bats versus Peralta yet, but Trevor Larnach is only $2,600 FanDuel salary. He's $700 more on DraftKings, projected at 9.2 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 10, and 7 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Trevor Larnach here versus Willie Peralta.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.